We all know someone in our lives who seems perfectly content to just let their life drift right past them. In a small village, a father watched his son do exactly this, day after day. The young man wasn't malicious, he was simply apathetic, wandering from place to place with zero purpose. But the father knew something his son didn't. The runway was getting shorter. Lectures rarely reach the deeply unmotivated. So rather than delivering another speech, the father asked his son to fetch an old watch from a nearby cupboard to try a different approach. Breaking a person's deeply ingrained complacency requires a direct shock to their basic understanding of what value actually means. The father handed the watch over and gave a specific instruction: take it down to the local market and find out exactly what people are willing to pay for it. It was a straightforward economic exercise. The boy presented the physical object to various merchants, and they instantly calculated its worth based on the materials, its overall utility, and its condition. The offers came rolling in. One stall offered 500 rupees, another said 800. A third merchant was willing to go up to 1,000. The numbers fluctuated, but everyone agreed on the core premise of the transaction. The son returned home feeling accomplished. He had gathered all the data and proven that this physical piece of metal and glass possessed a definable liquid market value. But his father smiled and told him to put the watch away. Society is highly efficient at slapping a price tag on tangible goods, and that efficiency creates a massive blind spot regarding the things we cannot physically touch. The next morning, the father pulled the identical watch from the cupboard. He told his son to go back to the market, but this time he issued a bizarre new directive. The boy wasn't allowed to ask for the price of the watch itself. He had to ask for the price of the time inside it. The son hesitated. He was being asked to swap a standard economic question for a completely abstract concept. Still, he did as he was told and walked back into the crowded market. When he started asking people to value the time rather than the metal, the friction was immediate. Merchants looked at him strangely. People laughed in his face, waved him away, and called the question foolish. This hostility makes perfect sense. Our brains are wired to balance standard ledgers. We easily understand trading labor for coins, or coins for goods. But when we are asked to place a hard financial value on a resource that is invisible and constantly evaporating, our usual cognitive models simply break down. Try to apply standard supply and demand logic to an existential resource, and you will quickly find yourself alienated from everyone still playing by the usual rules. Embarrassed and defeated, the boy eventually wandered into a small, quiet shop. Behind the counter, an old man was meticulously repairing watches. When the boy timidly asked his impossible question one last time, the watchmaker didn't laugh. He stopped his work, looked up, and explained that time operates on an entirely different economic plane than physical goods. He pointed out a brutal reality. You could amass millions of rupees, acquire every luxury in the world, and your purchasing power still wouldn't be enough to buy back a single spent second of your life. Time constantly depletes without permission, but you possess absolute autonomy over where it is directed. Unlike other resources, its distribution is rigidly equal. Whether destitute or rich, everyone receives exactly 24 hours each morning, draining at the exact same pace. Because the starting balance is identical for everyone, a successful life is ultimately measured by how effectively you deploy that unrenewable daily allowance. The boy looked back at his months of wandering and saw them for what they were: a constant, unrecoverable drain on a finite resource. He realized he hadn't just been resting, he had been losing a currency he could never earn back. He returned home and shared the watchmaker's insight with his father. Seeing his son finally grasp the urgency of his own life, the older man placed a proud hand on his shoulder. This new awareness translated into immediate action. The boy began seeking out work and trades, filling his previously empty hours with deliberate effort and focused learning. His daily rhythm shifted. Where he once moved through the village without a destination, he now walks with a visible aim, treating every hour as an investment rather than an inconvenience. When the reality of depletion is understood, apathy is replaced by an immediate sense of urgency. That realization applies far beyond a village fable. It applies directly to whatever you plan on doing for the rest of today. Time presents a fascinating paradox for all of us. It costs absolutely nothing to acquire, yet it is completely priceless to possess. You can't lock it away in a vault, you can't put it in a savings account to accrue interest, and you certainly can't hoard it for a rainy day. Your only option is to spend it. So look at your own daily ledger. Are you consciously directing those 24 hours, or are you just wandering through the market? Because time only flows in one direction, the present moment you are in right now is the only actionable currency you will ever actually own.